There's a fish on. Here it comes. Oh, yeah! Woo!
Oh, good fish, good fish.
That's what we're looking for right there. Welcome to Dakota Destinations. I'm your host, Dan Hammer. On tonight's show, we take you into the woods and on the water. The United States Practical Shooting Association hosts national events each year here in the hills of southern Illinois. We're about an hour and a half north of St. Louis in Pike County, Illinois, where several North Dakota shooters are competing in a national competition. We'll have their story for you next. And also later in the show, we'll take you to the waters near Chamberlain, South Dakota for a spring walleye bite.
Passant Park is located 20 miles, basically, east of Hannibal, Missouri, home of Mark Twain. It's located between the two rivers, Mississippi and the Illinois River, located on a family farm of the Metcalfs. It's a beautiful place, rolling hills.
Practical shooting is a sport, the fastest growing form of shooting sport in the world.
Ears? It's just strictly the art of shooting handguns. You know, how fast can you reload your gun? How fast can you attain the targets? How fast can you move from position to position? How well you can shoot in accuracy and distance.
This shooting range, Passant Park in Pike County, Illinois, is home to many events. Today, it's the Smith & Wesson Revolver Nationals.
The USPSA Revolver Nationals is a national championship handgun competition for absolute amateurs.
It's like the holy grail of practical shooting in my mind. It's a place where really USPSA grew up.
Tucked away in a pristine valley where trophy whitetail bucks roam sits Passant Park, hallowed soil for Dick Metcalf, longtime outdoor journalist and the guy behind the steering wheel of this John Deere.
The ground here has been in my family since 1837. Back in the late 70s, the bottom fell out of agriculture for small family farms. And basically, you can't make a living on 500 acres anymore. And it's just pretty much impossible. You can't feed a family on 500 acres, and particularly in an area where we have rocky hills here. The soil is marginal. So since you can't make a living at that, we decided, well, we'll just turn it into a shooting range. You can't make a living at that either.
USPSA, United States Practical Shooting Association, was born on these grounds. It has over 20,000 members and nearly 400 affiliated clubs, a number of them across the Dakotas. Clubs host weekly matches and provide recreational shooters opportunities to test and refine their shooting skills in a safe and competitive environment.
You move a lot. You do different things. There's always different scenarios. There's no one scenario where you stand and shoot at targets. There'll be every stage you go to over the course of years, they're all going to be different.
You have to, walk up to a stage that you've never practiced, look at that scenario, and when the timer goes off, you hit that course and shoot those targets faster than anybody else.
All the pepper poppers, any of the steel targets, when you can see the reaction of a target, you hear the ping, and you see the target fall. That's always fun. It's like shooting tin cans back when you were a kid.
2 years ago, USPSA added Revolver Nationals to its lineup.
The passion that American shooters have for the classic revolver. I mean, it goes back to Wyatt Earp the single action army. But the passion for the revolver just will not die in spite of the modern technology and the polymer framed autoloaders and all the new technology. Americans love tradition, and this is about as traditional as you get other than cowboy shooting, where they actually dress up in Old West costumes.
Tradition and a thirst for a challenge draw these shooters to the sport. Every football field is 100 yards, and no matter where you go, 60 feet 6 inches separates the pitching mound from home plate. In practical shooting, there's no such thing as the same playing field.
It's a different challenge every time, and it's your job to try to overcome that challenge.
So that's stage 4 and 5. Moving on to stage 6 over here.
Ray Hurst knows it better than anyone. He designs these obstacle-laden courses.
And, you know, I have a reputation of, you know, making a shooter run to every port and look in every direction through every port, so they, you know, really challenges them to think how they're going to shoot the stage.
14 stages make up this course.
That they'll have to engage through this window here.
Each squad has 5 minutes to explore the stage, no more.
Well, mostly I try to think about how many shots I'm going to need, where I'm going to reload, and just try not to get confused. It's real easy once the buzzer goes off to forget your game plan.
One of the Dakota shooters is on the stage and taking aim. Coming up next on Dakota Destinations, we'll follow our local shooters through part of this challenging course and tell you why they're so passionate about the sport of competitive, practical shooting. The morning of competition has arrived for the 2014 Revolver Nationals. Shooters are getting their final instructions, and soon they'll be hitting the range. We'll follow several North Dakota shooters on this day. Some have a wealth of experience in practical shooting at the national level. Some are getting their first ever experience.
The gun may not be propped up in any way. All ammo must start on your belt. Your start signal will be audible.
Shots ring through the countryside. A brotherhood of outdoorsmen who put their skills to test in the purest form of practical shooting.
September this year, it'll be 30 years I've been shooting this sport.
For a group of Dakota shooters, it's like going back to their boyhood days, shooting tin cans in the open pasture or the shelter belt. This stage, though, is much bigger.
Welcome to the 2014 USPSA Revolver Nationals presented by Smith & Wesson.
130 Americans passionate about shooting the classic revolver gather on this Sunday in May in the woods of southern Illinois. 4 of the shooters call North Dakota home.
I started in Europe when I was in the service, and a friend of mine invited me to come out and shoot a match. And I went and shot the match, placed second in the match, and was hooked from that moment on. I've been doing it ever since.
They come from every corner of the nation.
I'm from Falling Waters, West Virginia.
Every walk of life. Men, women, and youngsters who share a hobby. Among them is Grand Forks' Larry Manning.
Thank you, sir.
My grandfather was a commercial fisherman on the Ohio River. So I started running boats and running fishing nets and stuff from the time I could run a boat. Family always hunted, always fished.
At 8 a.m. sharp, Larry steadies himself, eyes the target, takes aim, and pulls the trigger.
You learn skills in gun handling with your revolver. You learn how to handle it, how to draw it, how to be safe with it, how to shoot accurately with it. And then we put you into here 14 different, totally different types of scenarios, and we say, solve that problem and walk away still breathing. And it's lots and lots of fun.
Everything's different. I've never shot any of these courses of fire before that we'll see here today. Everything's always different. First, it's an adrenaline rush. I still get it after all this time. You get that after a match or an event, you get the shakes afterwards. There's so much adrenaline. solving the problem. I guess you're just competing mostly against yourself. There's a course of fire, you got to try to do the best you can and hope for the best, I guess.
Over the course of 8 hours, Larry and the rest of the competitors will fire nearly 300 rounds, more if their aim is off a bit. And this is more than just draw and shoot. There's a strategic element to each stage, testing the shooter's skills and mental stamina.
You'll get tired, hungry, thirsty, and you can wear out. Your mind gets tired, and when you step up to the stage, you got to get alert.
Mark Metz made the trek from Montpelier, North Dakota for the Nationals. 11 years ago, he took up shooting sports, and not long after, his biggest fan became his shooting partner.
My first time out, my wife went along, was a great lot of support for me. And when it was all over, she just said, next time I want to try it. Okay.
So they got the equipment together, and ever since, Mark and Lori have been sharing the sport together. This day, though, is a whole new game for Lori, her first ever national event.
There's an amateur level here. Oh, there are professional shooters here of amazing skill. But the bulk of the competitor population is you and me, ordinary guys.
My name is Daniel May. I'm from Fort Ransom, North Dakota. I work at Bobcat and Gwinner.
Shooting, he says, is his life hobby.
Man, I was interested in guns from the time I was 8, 9 years old. I used to get the Ward's catalogs, J.C. Bennett catalogs, and they used to sell guns. Man, I'd leaf through them things and go over them.
With his 7-year-old daughter Julie at his side, he will make memories of a lifetime, taking part in his first ever Revolver Nationals.
Figured I'd go straight to the top. Why mess around?
And Daniel's spark in shooting sports that was first ignited on the pages of those catalogs was fanned when he was on the receiving end of a gift, a piece of family history, a hand-me-down with special meaning.
When I was 11 or 12, I went to see my grandmother. She had my grandpa's old revolver in her hutch. Man, I drooled over that thing. I'd take it out and look at it, and she told me when she passed away, she'd make sure I got it in the will. Well, when I left, she said I could take it home with me. Man, that was great.
He still shoots his grandpa's old revolver. And while his grandma has passed away, she's watching today as her grandson, with a passion for shooting sports, rubs shoulders with the best in the game.
It's nice to see how you stand against other shooters. I guess prove your manhood. Show just how good you really are against everybody else.
And with any competition comes those first nerve-wracking moments. The finger trembles as it meets the trigger. And no matter how many times these Dakota shooters have drawn the revolver from the holster, the sure rush takes over.
Remember what I told you? First one's great. Just get it out of the way and then calm down from there.
When they say load and make ready, it feels like when you're sitting in a tree stand and the big buck's coming in. Just a nice adrenaline rush.
Things are going very well. I have just a couple misses in the last 4 stages, which makes me very happy. And they were very enjoyable. I was really happy with them last ones.
Strategy, speed, and accuracy are all required from these shooters. At the end of the day, there is no glorious finish line. The numbers will be tabulated.
Alpha, Charlie.
Alpha, Charlie.
2 Alpha.
2 Alpha. Score is complete.
And while these Dakota shooters don't take home any hardware,
Barely.
they take the thrill.
I love the sport. I do love the sport, unfortunately.
And the urge to come back here and do it all over again. From the woods to the water. Coming up next, Destination Chamberlain, South Dakota, where this stretch of the Missouri River produces the earliest and most consistent walleye bite.